Slightly above average gamers, way above average podcast. Welcome to the Slightly Above Average Gaming Podcast with your hosts, J007TV and Sub1KD.
All right, let's see if we are live.
Let's see, are we on or aren't we? Yeah, I think it's working. I do suspect that we are back.
We are back, baby.
Back again. Oh, sweet. Sweet jumpin' Jehoshaphat's. We're back.
All right, and so this is 118, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think I forgot to change the update, so may or may not work.
All right.
May or may not match reality, but we'll say it is. We'll say it's good enough. So,
all right.
One of these days I'll learn how to spell episode. Thinking we're back.
In more ways than one.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
All right, whenever you're ready, hit the jingle, baby.
To do that. It's been a minute. It's been
Yeah.
2 minutes. It's been many minutes. We'll get into why in a minute. Speaking of minutes. But here we go. Crack-a-lackin'.
Welcome, everybody, to episode 118 of the Slightly Above Average Gaming Podcast. I am J007TV, joined as always by the homie Sub1KD. It has been a minute, my dude.
A minute and change, but we're back. How
we are back,
you?
baby. I'm good, man. I'm just happy to be back. I'm happy that I feel motivated again to get back up on this horse.
Having a Call of Duty that's not disappointing can do that.
Yeah.
Shocking. Allegedly not disappointing. To be determined.
Yeah, allegedly.
We'll find out.
Yeah, we'll definitely be talking about that. What have you been up to, man?
Oh, it has been a season of life, getting stuff done. We have overhauled the ranch again because we've had to do some shifting to accommodate the fact that children or growing. We are largely leaving the childhood phase and entering the young person phase for one of them, which is lots of changes. So they're riding horses and they're very involved in 4-H and other stuff like that. So they're, our weekends have been dominated by going places with animals and doing stuff. And then here we've been, we got ourselves a camper, like one of those truck campers. So now we can haul stuff. I'm working on getting the boat pulled back together so we can go boating this summer. Just a lot of legwork. So it's been busy. We did, we got ourselves some chicken the other day.
Yeah, I heard.
About 45 of them.
How long does that take?
8 weeks, 9 weeks.
No, dude. How long did it take for you to murder them all and then put them in your freezer?
I spent a good, I don't know. I think we started about 9 till about 5:30, 6, including cleanup.
That's a full day's worth of work, dude.
Full day's worth of work, but a year's worth of chicken. So
like, were you separating like drums, thighs, breasts, like that kind of thing, or just whole chickens and then
just whole chickens?
Okay.
So, yeah, no, it was a process. We got a lot done, but it was, there's a lot to it. So it's kind of one of those. Sure. It was a whole day. We booked 2 days, so we did it over Memorial Day weekend. We booked 2 days out. Figured last year it took us about that same amount of time to do half, and so we did it over 2 days. And this year we were just on a roll. Usually my wife is the bottleneck doing all the knife work, but I was the bottleneck trying to keep everything, all the other both ends of the wheels moving. So
Nice. Did you have the girls out helping too?
More or less. Their help is a little limited, but they had fun. Had a good time. We had a friend come over and wanted to see how it is, so she brought her kids over. So all the chillins were entertained and busy. The rest of us were just kind of there. But it was a really good outing, really good day. So, but that was good. We did that, and then I got 007. I guarantee you did as well.
No, I did not get it yet.
You did not.
I haven't. No, I'm wanting to get it here within the next couple weeks.
I'm a little surprised.
I just had stuff come up that I needed to take care of first, you know.
Yeah.
So we're still dealing with the wife's accident from March and that kind of thing. And so yeah, I just I hadn't been able to really do it yet. I want to, and I'm going to, because I guarantee you we're going to get into the summer, and that's when actually that's going to be key, right? Like I'll have something else to play. So that'll be cool.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where it's like single player games don't hit the same. Does that make sense?
Because the replayability is kind of limited, to be honest. I mean, for most of them.
Yeah. I mean, GTA is, sandbox games can have a little more variety. I think sandbox games like Far Cry, I'm thinking Far Cry, I'm thinking Ghost Recon Wildlands.
Yep. I did download that. Have been playing it.
Yeah. Games like that, they have a lot to them, but they end up stuck in the same kind of loop where every mission's the same. Like there's only a certain number of missions you can do and everything, and then it's all the same after that. So I think that gets to be a little stale. GTA though is usually pretty wide. It's pretty packed full of things to do before you get bored of it.
Right.
But downloaded it. It looks beautiful. My buddy downloaded it as well, and he logged in before I got home for the day, and he was telling me about it, and I asked him, how's it compare to the GOAT, the greatest James Bond game of all time, GoldenEye?
Oh yeah.
He said the graphics were a little better.
Yeah,
he's not lying.
You think?
Yeah, they're nice.
Is it? It's only optimized for the current gen consoles, right? Like not past gen, and then PC.
Nope. I mean, so on my PC, which is a beast right now, my PC runs it at max, like a dream. He's on his Series X. He has to run it in performance mode. Otherwise, it doesn't play very well.
I'd like to see, because I rarely play games off stream. I'd like to see what kind of frames I could get when I'm not streaming, because when I'm streaming and gaming at the same time on the same PC, I'm getting about 140 frames per second on my PC.
You're probably losing 25, 30 frames.
I mean, I would think I'd be able to, with a 5070, be able to get close to fucking 200 frames.
5070 is what, 12 gigs of VRAM?
I think so. I'm not sure. I can't remember.
Yeah, I slammed I went 4K, slammed everything to quality, wanted to see what my 5080 and 64 gigs of RAM will do. It does a lot. And I've actually got room to spare, but it is using over 8 megs of VRAM. Is what it comes in at as the estimated usage when everything's quality. So if you don't have room to spare, you're going to struggle at max everything. And I'm maxing out my monitor in terms of frames. So
it's 12 gigs.
12 gigs. So you could probably get it done. You'd probably have a good experience. But you play 14. Your monitor's 1440, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you shouldn't have a lot of problems when you push it. I'm doing it in 4K, so
I should probably go and update, max out everything in my game settings. Because now that I think about it, being a noob, I don't know that I really changed a whole lot once I switched to this PC. Of the in-game settings. So I bet you if I went in there, I could fool with it and get some more frames without the clipping and the stuttering and shit like that.
Yeah. Try it. But I'll say it looks really pretty. It does. I'm enjoying it. I know, I mean, my buddy's enjoying it too, but it's challenging. It's a fun game. It doesn't have, I'll say the controls are a little funky. It's a little, stealth games always do that, where it's like they want to try and give you as much visibility control so that you can stealth around. But then it's like when it gets to combat and you're used to something snappy like Call of Duty or Battlefield, the controls get kind of weird. It's kind of like I don't know. So, there's just these moments where it's like because it's third person, how you orient the camera affects the kind of affects how it responds to what direction you go in. So it's like, your instinct is to push the stick one way, and that's wrong.
I think that the Arkham games, like Batman Arkham City, has got some of the best combat controls for games like that. It just it felt so smooth.
I need to get those games going. I have never played the Arkham series, so I need to put that on my list.
They're really, really good. But hey, what did you do? Did you do Black Flag Resynced?
Is that out?
Oh wait, you know what? That might not be out until July.
Think it's out. I don't think it's out yet.
Yeah, I think it's July because I don't know. I don't know if I'm gonna get it or not. I guess there's some new missions also that they added. Like they went through and retooled a bunch of shit in there. So
I mean, I haven't played that game in so long. I have I would be starting over anyways, so I couldn't tell you one mission from another. It's funny that that was a game that was out when my oldest was born. And I remember playing it, and it was one of the few that I could play because it wasn't multiplayer, so I could pause it. So, because like for us, the way that it worked out was, I would my wife would go to bed early, and I would stay up till about 2 with the bottle, and keep her going, keep her fed, and then I would go to bed, and my wife would wake up around 4 for the early morning feedings. Mm-hmm. So I would be up on, so I would just sit there, hold the kid, and you get into it, you get away holding the bottle, like holding the kid in the bottle, so you can game, but it's like it's a little hard to hold the controller properly, so you're kind of winging it. But that was one of the games that you could play, you could sail in that mode without any problems, and it was enjoyable. So I have fond memories of playing that game. I don't remember, does it have a co-op? Because that would be sick.
I don't think so. I don't know. Don't quote me on that because it's been so long.
Maybe they'll put one in. That would be nice.
But, yeah, it's so funny though that Ubi went through and like retooled that game, but they just
it's the best one they've done.
But they have another pirate game that they launched that they could have done a lot of the same shit with Skull and Bones.
That game is now trash.
Yeah, it's I bought it. I was playing it for a while.
I remember.
Dude, but, I mean, the thing is like to not have like ground-based combat or, jumping onto another ship or whatever, like that's kind of lame. And it's like whomever made the decision to release that game like that needs beaten with a rubber hose because
no shit.
That's just a stupid ass decision. But, dude, we've been talking, periodically. I know, guys, we haven't been recording any episodes or anything like that. It's been a little while for several reasons. My guy Sub One is, elbows deep in his new job and, FFA and things like that. I've been traveling and stuff like that. And, for work.
You can see all my gaming shit has been replaced with diplomas and
I see things. That. Yeah, I see that. So. But I've been playing a little bit, but so it would be like a couple hours, and I play games. I wanted to play online games to play with and against people. So about 2 hours of just playing solo, and I'm done. And I think I'm kind of at a point also with Black Ops 7 where I don't know that I'm going to fire it up very much. I'm probably just going to go straight into Warzone because the solo queue experience over there is fucking miserable, dude. I'm telling you, and I've said this several times on the show, but like the last time I did it, I think I played like 6 matches and I lost 5 of them. And I went positive every single match. And keep in mind, I'm playing TDM and Kill Confirmed. And I would have teammates that would have like 4 and 23 or those kind of numbers, and I'd be going against 4 or 5 stacks. So I'm just kind of at a point where I have been just going almost straight into the last 2 or 3 times into Black Ops Royale, which they finally brought back. You know, that was a miserable fucking 2 or 4 weeks, however long that was, that they took it away. But they brought it back. But the cool thing about that is, dude, is the last 3 nights that I've played, I've actually had a full 4 stack and played quads.
Sweet. So
dude, it's
getting
been
the game
so
back
fun.
in.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah, no, it's been so fun, and we got 4 wins in 3 days. One night we had 2 wins and 5 second places. I got absolutely shit on last night by youngsters, if you know who that is.
You've more than once, right? I've seen you post a couple of times.
So we ran into him 2 days ago, and then yesterday. Dude, he full sent us on this little island that's way to the back of the map. He just full sent us and just wiped all 4 of us, dude. It was disgusting. I mean, but
Nice.
but no, it's been fun actually having people to play with, and you know, I really enjoy the Black Ops Royale experience. I tweeted about this last week. You know, I've played it almost exclusively since it came out, and while I was critical when they started releasing details about it, about not getting a full-on blackout experience, which I've come to the realization, dude, we're never getting that back. That's never coming back. So with that said, this is the best experience playing any kind of Call of Duty BR type game than anything I've played since Blackout. It, to me, the mode is significantly better than Warzone. I don't have an interest to play that because also they're doing a rotation on Warzone. Avalon is not worth a fuck for BR, for like the Warzone like BR. It's awful. The flow of it, dude, it's not good. It's built for Black Ops Royale, but it is not good on regular Warzone. I had a miserable experience.
Okay, fair. You know, you've also got the problem of the Warzone folks have only, you know, they've just been playing Warzone the whole time. Black Ops, I know, plays different.
Yeah.
So different mentalities, different thought process size. But yeah, I mean, you know, it's obviously too early to do not a deconstruction, but what's that word called when you post-mortem on Black Ops 7. But I think we're getting close to calling it a day for that one. I mean, I called it a day on day 1, but you know, others.
Well, you want to know what's so funny is one of the things that turned you off, aside from the future weapons, was the wall bouncing and stuff like that. And I've always been like, nah, it's not been that big a deal, da-da-da. Dude, I'm going to be honest with you. There's been like 4 or 5 times in the last 2 weeks when I had the last 2 weeks worth of me playing that, right? Because I haven't played it in a few days, where I just got absolutely shit on because old boy was like, ding, 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 ding. Like, and I'm like, it was almost like that, like they were talking on Top Gun. They're like, where'd he go?
Where'd he
go? Like, I'm like, what the fuck, dude?
Yeah, I have no interest in it. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I owe it to our wonderful listeners and everyone else to actually get on and try the fucking mode. So maybe I'll try and do that this week.
Talking about Black Ops Royale?
Yeah. So I can actually have done it.
Dude, for sure. Say when. I'll hop on and play with you.
I gotta figure out how to update it. I don't think I have it installed.
yeah, there's that. But no, we should play it. You know what sucks though? The thing that pisses me off about it is I feel like they just kind of threw it out there, but they're not really supporting it that much. And what I mean by that is there's no, first of all, they finally, they brought solos in. So we have solos and quads, but we don't have duos or trios. You know, we don't have the full gamut of squad sizes. And at this point, dude, all the games are taking a long fucking time to load. Just fucking put the squad sizes in there. Who gives a shit?
Again, I think they just don't have the people playing. You know, it's like it's got its fans that love the movement and love the wall bouncing, but the number of people actually like hardcore dogging it are fewer and farther between than I think we realize.
Well, dude, I'm not entirely convinced that they're not putting bots in regular modes anyway to fill lobbies, Because, dude, I know we've
They are
talked
in
about
some places.
They have to be, dude. I'm telling you, I've played online games for 22 years now. I've seen my fair share of fantastic players, and I've seen my share of dog shit players. There are some things these things do where I'm just like, surely that's a fucking bot. Like, there is absolutely no way. But then yesterday, I thought the same thing, and then I heard a death cam, or a death comm. So, but I mean,
Dude,
like, I feel like they're filling the
Yeah.
lobbies with bots, dude. They have to be.
Well, yeah, but the bots are, but the bots are being controlled by humans. That's the difference. They're just, I mean, and I'll say this: this is an SBMM thing. We know these people exist because Nixta used to get into the lobbies all the time when SPMM was a thing. Right? Before bots were anywhere near it, before there was an AI in this thing, we all watched Nixta get on there and steamroll these lobbies where these people didn't have thumbs, playing on controller. Yeah. And it was like it was one of those things where even, the average player would look at it and go, the fuck lobbies are you in? Because that ain't my lobbies. And I think that I think it's one of those things where we just have been they've been so protected from everybody else that when they actually break down the bottom of the lobby and they put them into general matchmaking, we're shocked at how bad they are. Like, we're shocked at how bad players are. Not that, either of us are amazing. I mean, you're probably better than I am at this point. I haven't taken the time off. But, I think there's a whole caliber of player that loses to the bots in casual mode. And you're getting to see them crazy.
Now. Yeah, I think so. And probably more so in like Warzone than in multiplayer. I mean, the matchmaking issues that I have in multiplayer is not necessarily the skill side of it. Like, I'm holding my own gunfight wise, It's the fucking team balancing that I'm having a huge issue with, over there. It's not, I'm not having to deal with team balancing over in Black Ops Royale or even Warzone or whatever, because I'm either rolling solo or I actually have a team. Although we have started actually filling with randos a little bit lately, which believe it or not, they've not been too terrible. So yeah, we've been doing that, but it's like, I feel like with the conversations that we're going to have about modern warfare here in just a few minutes, I feel like just overall, I feel like these companies don't know what to do now, matchmaking wise, because they tried to protect everybody, and that didn't work. People still found a way in those lobbies, and the bad players were still bad. The good players were still good, and then the rest of us were fucking up and down. I feel like it almost feels like they've just acknowledged that they can't manipulate it's not good for anybody to manipulate the lobbies to the extent that they did after Modern Warfare 2019.
Yeah.
Is what it seems to me.
Yeah, and I think the 2019 issue was and probably remains one of those matchmaking that was like it makes sense on paper when you think about it, right? Get everybody, group them, both largely by skill so that you don't have everybody stomping everybody else. But the reality is that, the good players will stomp the bad, they will find what, good players will find ways to stomp bad players no matter what. And they'll stomp average players just the same. But the difference is when you create those, you just incentivize people to get to go out there and break that matchmaking, right? Like once it became apparent where it was and what it did, it was like a free for all of like, let's just go shit on lobbies.
Well, you're bound to have it because people were they don't want to sweat every single fucking match all day long, like they were bound to go find a way to circumvent that matchmaking,
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like anything else. What was the game that I was looking at? A marathon. I mean, there's an example of good players that they don't, and I get it, right? Like to a point, where it's like if you're a really good player, you don't want to play really good players most of the time. Like unless you're competing for something worthwhile, because it's just too much. It's too much effort. At the end of the day, and I think that's the, that is a driving factor on why games like Marathon tend to fail, and they don't. They spend budget of they spend AAA budget, but they're going to they're getting true indie player accounts, and I think that's the biggest problem that that games these games have when they cater when they force the issue of like, hey, this is a high skill game for high skill players, then low skill players go, thanks for trying, let me know your next time around. And so it just I don't think good players really enjoy playing other good players unless there's money on the line or some reason to, right? Ranked tournaments, right? So, something beyond just playing the game. Like
right.
You get out of that and it's like, who wants to work that hard? So, and it's you once that become, once that takes hold, that mentality becomes reality, there's no putting it back, right? Like the Knicks to lobbies were, as soon as people figured that out, I mean, it was like nuts. People were insane. I mean, just look at how much lobby surfing was going on trying to get the right lobby for content or whatever. It was nuts.
Yeah. I just don't get anything out of it. I think that listen, here's the deal. Do I like to get more kills than I die? Yes, of course I do. Who doesn't, right? But I don't think that I would personally get anything out of constantly playing in those kind of lobbies using those kind of methods, right? Like it would be the same where I would get no dopamine hit, just like I don't get any dopamine hit when I would warm up in casuals, which I don't even do that anymore. Like yeah. I felt literally nothing. And, that's the whole reason I wanted to hop on and play is to compete and let that be an outlet. And so, that's why it's important to me to, that's part of why I've been so against the casual mode altogether, because I feel like eventually it's going to go to where that's just your only choice. And at that point, I think if that is truly going to end up being the case, I'll walk away from PvP or first person shooter games for sure. Because I don't have any interest in playing that.
I think the PvEVP game modes, and look at Arc Raiders as a prime example, is going to probably be a wave coming up here. That and cooperative co-op. I think we're going to see a lot of people. I think we've had this boom, from the pandemic of like everybody, willing to compete, and it didn't. The pandemic did an interesting thing. When you look at player counts and you look at like who was playing the game, there were a lot of folks who play video games but maybe don't normally play competitive games.
Right.
That we're willing to hop into Warzone. We're willing to hop into some of these other games. And they played these games a lot. And what that does is it creates a naturally beneficial player pool, right? It creates the right bell curve of skill where games feel natural. They feel, they always feel like you have a chance.
Something for everybody almost.
Yeah. But the problem is once you get past that point where it's like, all right, people had to start going back to work, bars opened up, things to do opened up, and people moved on, and they started filling their time back up with other stuff. It changes the mix, right? So then the game becomes inherently more competitive. I think by Vanguard, the game was much more competitive than it was, and you had the cheating epidemic on top of that, and you had people really dialing in to that game. True Game Data had taken off, had really kind of started to hit home. There were some other other games going on. there was a lot going on in that era. And I think that probably had a lot to do with people leaving the game, which upset the mix, right? And it got and of course the game, Activision worked extra hard to try and artificially create that balance again. But I think we've seen since the tail end of MW2 we've seen this gradual slide with, accumulating with Black Ops 6 and now Black Ops 7, where, the skill level of players that you need to be overwhelming in the game are not overwhelming in numbers. And it makes the game just and it's the same thing that I said earlier, where it's like people don't want to always compete all the time. Right? But if you're not at the top, then you have to compete all the time in every match because everybody's better than you.
Well, yeah, that's the whole thing. Like, good players talk about SPMM being a thing, right? Like how it fucks them over. Yes, in a way it does, because they have to play people equal to their skill level, but they're never put into lobbies like we are with people that are above our skill level.
Because there's nobody above their skill level. That's the
exactly.
Or it's like, small percentages above their skill level. So, but they're all very comparable.
So the statistical likelihood that that's happening to them every single match is rare. Whereas you or I, like, there was one time probably about 2 months ago where, I fought like, I was having like Erie and Crim players in my multiplayer lobbies fucking all night, dude. And I'm fighting these guys and everything. So yeah, it's just one of those things. And like, that's why I also say, I feel like these games, when the pendulum swings too far, whether they cater to the sweats or they cater to the trash cans, really it's right in the fucking middle is where they should actually try to cater to. I mean, am I wrong?
Well, I mean, so look, here's the problem. It's like, how do you cater? Here's the problem with catering to the middle is the top will still be the top. And if the bottom, if the bottom doesn't show up, and I'm not saying that it doesn't mean that they won't show up, but it's just, it's like the more difficult the game is. And I think this is something where MW 2019 actually excelled, and other modes like Black Ops 6 and 7, and even MW3 for a bit, in some ways struggled with. They don't have that. They don't have that easy to learn, but hard to master feel to it. And MW 2019, I mean, the base movement was very easy to learn. Everybody could become proficient at moving around the map. And then it was only when slide canceling became a thing that stuff changed around, and high-end controllers weren't as prevalent. So for a lot of people, slide canceling within combat was not feasible unless you were going to go and completely redo your controller setup and learn a completely new schema, or drop $300 on an elite.
Well, and factor in us console guys at the time, we had no FOV, so you factor in, many of those guys not having control. Like, I've had an elite controller since it came out, so I had one, but I didn't have FOV, so that made a huge difference too. You're talking, all the cross play and everything else. Mm-hmm. And I think, so we may as well move into, kind of the news from Modern Warfare 4 that's dropped this last week. I mean, they've been pretty, and they always are, when they roll out that launch trailer, there's always a ton of dialogue and everything. But it feels to me like they're actually moving a little different. And I'm saying this as someone who's been extremely critical of Infinity Ward as a studio. And I was not looking forward to this title. They have my attention, and here's why. First of all, you talked about the movement with the easy to learn, hard to master thing. And one of the things that they said is basically, and I'm going to paraphrase it, it's like they're trying to thread the needle and have something for everyone, right? Like they don't want to cater to the low skill players, but they don't want to penalize the good players. So it seems like the movement based on the changes that they indicated, like you're going to be able to mantle into a slide. You're going to be able to slide into ADS. You'll be able to slide cancel. The one thing is they left fucking tack sprint in, which I don't know why they do that. I guess they just love it. But I mean, have you seen, just any of the interviews or anything like that?
I haven't listened to the interviews yet, but I've been keeping tabs on it. I chimed in about the audio issues a bit ago.
Yeah, I saw your tweet about that.
No, I think so. I have said this since MW2, right? Like since the later half of MW2, the problem isn't the actual amount of movement things you can do. And I think this is something that Black Ops fucked up big time. MW3 kind of messed up, and then MW2 messed up the wrong direction. The number of things you can do doesn't need to be a lot, right? Run, sprint, attack, sprint, whatever. But run, sprint, slide, jump. Like that's it. That is the bedrock foundation of Call of Duty. It is the fundamental principles of what makes Call of Duty different than every other shooter. That is the basis of the game. And then what makes it what set it apart from everything else at the time and has continued more or less to do so is that shooting your gun and mastering shooting your gun is the critical part of it. You want to kill fast, learn to use a tougher gun, right? Like learn to use a more powerful gun with harder recoil.
AMAX,
right?
Compared to the Kilo and the Grau.
Mm-hmm. So the thing that Call of Duty started to do with MW2 is, and MW2 went totally the wrong direction in that the MW2 spaced out what you could do, but they added more stuff, right? You could dolphin dive, you could ledge hang, you could do all this other shit that nobody asked for. Then MW3 came along and said, well, we're going to start limiting the things that you can do in between motions, like close some of those gaps. But they kept the number of things up, right? And then Black Ops came around, and the number of things you could diddy people, you could do all the other, you continue to do more things. And it's like, and eventually the settings, were so obnoxiously complicated just to have
seems
it
like more
function,
so for
right?
6 than 7, right? Would you agree? Like
yeah, and then
pared
7
down for 7.
Well, no, and then because you had omni movement, right? And then you added like grapple hooks and all this other shit that they put in, like wall bouncing, right? They're just adding more things to what worked before that, which was run, jump, walk, run, jump, slide. The thing that made MW19, especially in Warzone, work so well is that the momentum and the ability the fluidity of moving from one thing to another was extremely smooth. You could sprint, slide, cancel your slide into a bunny hop, and 180 to fight somebody who was standing next to a doorway waiting to ambush you as you came through.
Mm-hmm.
And in doing so, you created a tactical environment. You created an environment for you to act in, right? And maybe it works, maybe it doesn't, but it gives you that opportunity. Now, MW2 screwed up because even though it had all the basics, you were delayed in doing anything, right? You slid, and then you had to stand up and dust yourself off, and then you could pull your gun up, right? You jumped, and then you were stuck, right? You couldn't shoot, right? And then MW3 sped that up a bit, made it better, but it was still delay, right? You were still playing delay zone. You wanted to cut your shoot and land on somebody, cut your shoot, pack it back up, order a pizza, then you could start shooting the guy you dropped in on. Meanwhile, even if you caught them by surprise, they're still going to win the gunfight. It really ruined the flow of the game. And then BO6 decided to make things more, even though it became more fluid, they decided to make it more complicated, right? You have sliding in different directions, sprinting in all directions, right? Like the whole omni movement thing really becomes more things to learn and more actions. And they again start interfere with each other, right? The number of times that I on this podcast bitched about yeeting myself off of a building when I'm trying to slide into a ledge, right? So that I can be prone and not get my head blown off, but still be, available, was a lot. It was more than several, and, fewer than all the time. But it's like that sort of thing should, it would never happen in MW 2019.
Sure.
Right. That never happened. And so the movement that they're teasing is all about fluidity from what I can see. I've seen that clip where you're sliding, then you mantle the car and you hop up the drain pipe, right? I think there's a lot of good options there. I'm curious how it works in Warzone. If everything's scalable, it kind of creates the same problem that we have, that zip lines create, in which there's no positioning doesn't matter because you can just Spider-Man up stuff. But jump points have been a thing anyways. So, I don't know. We'll see, right? We'll see how the game plays.
I feel like I agree with you. The fluidity is one of the things that I really notice, like how you're able to chain things together. Like I like being able to do that. I like having options for outplaying somebody. You know what I mean? Like in a gunfight, I like being able to do that. And that's why I've always been a big fan since Black Ops 6 of being able to slide backwards, because I've put that in my tool belt and I use it all the time. And it's gotten me out of so many fucking, bad positioning that I've been able to actually reposition because of it and, re-up the fight.
Yeah. And movement, you should be able to do it. But I think the problem is that when movement is so complex and is so ingrained into it, it stops being Call of Duty and starts being a movement shooter. And Call of Duty has never been about movement, like movement being a key driver. It's in my opinion should always be shooting first, right? Like the ability to shoot your gun should be the most important part of the game.
Speaking of shooting, did you see that they're removing a lot of the bloom?
Good. I've had it up to here with bloom and red sec.
They're apparently removing the bloom, so that ought to be interesting. Probably be getting beamed a lot.
Yeah. We'll see how the recoil is, right? Because it's all about it. At the end of the day, like the skill in shooting should be about controlling recoil, and recoil has been so minimal for so long. We'll see how it plays. Weapon balance and stuff. These things are always going to be challenging, right? There's no easy way through this, right? If you're Call of Duty, it's going to be interesting. I'm a little disappointed in how many 500 attachments. Do we need 500 fucking attachments?
It depends on how many guns that there are.
Do we need that many guns?
Well, that's a good question, because at the end of the day, to me, it doesn't seem as bad in multiplayer. Like I use pretty much whatever I kind of want to in multiplayer, but there's still a, meta, if you will. But in Warzone, where there's loadouts, there's always a meta. Dude, I don't remember who it was, and I don't think I'd call him out on it on this podcast anyway. But did you see me going back and forth with this, whoever it was, on Twitter talking to me about metas aren't that big a deal and you can use anything? And we go back and forth, and finally I'm like, well, what mode are you playing? And then it turns out, you ready for it?
They're in casuals.
Fucking playing casuals. Of course it doesn't matter. I can
what was it? 41-year-old dad, I think.
Why you gotta call him out, man? I wasn't trying to do that. I knew who
It's
it was.
okay.
I wouldn't.
I'm trying
But
to remember
no,
who it was.
I'm like,
But that's
dude,
all right. We love him.
I could go grab a fucking Modern Warfare 2 gun from 2022 and drop double digits in casual, on a consistent basis. And it's like, don't tell me that metas aren't a problem if you're not dealing with the problem.
Well, I think his main push was that if you play, well, okay, hold on. Let's back this up because I want to go back to what I was talking about earlier. If the skill base is as spread as it normally is, like as it should be on paper, right? Like the old Warzone 1 days, like the pandemic days, like you could run whatever the hell you wanted. Right? And people did. And yeah, there were meta guns, there were better guns than others. Everybody kind of knew that. But you could get away with doing a lot because you ran into a lot of people of lower skill. So you could outplay them. Like you could outskill them with an inferior gun and win, which is generally true. Okay. I haven't played casuals since I finished the camo grind in Black Ops 6. So, date this as you will. But, even against human opponents, you could be successful with a wide variety of weapons in that game, even against the human opponents, because they tended to be lower skilled. Like the number of times that you ran into a player of my skill or better is probably in the 5 engagements a match maximum, right? You're most of the players that you will fight will be lower skill, and most of your deaths will be because you are steamrolling through 2, 3, 4, 5 players and you just run out of plates or something like that. And that was, camo grinding. That was the experience. It's like, I've got a pistol. Let me fight you with my pistol. I killed you. That sucks to be you, and I don't care what you scream at me over the mic. Right? Like you lost because you are a worse player than I am, and I killed you with a pistol, and you had whatever it was that you were running.
That's why I didn't feel bad when I killed Joe Woe and all he had was a pistol. I was like, fuck that.
Take whatever advantage you can get when you are outplayed in skill. But to his credit, like if you are not in the higher skill bracket, I think it's a better overall experience in casuals than in the main game, because in the main game, the odds that you will survive out if you are not running a strict meta are low because everybody else is.
Well, that's also part of the problem too with the explosion of, video game social media. Now everybody's remember, it was just J God doing loadout videos for the most part. Then, within 6 months of Warzone popping off, dude, everybody and their mother started doing those loadout videos. So the amount of information that was out there starting then through now everybody, there's a fucking app that has what the meta is. You know what I mean? Like COD Munity,
Yeah. Alex,
Warzone loadouts. That's
long time fan.
Yeah, of course. But there's a app for that. So it's like playing regular mode. If you don't run a meta weapon, in most cases you're fucked.
But because the skill is so much higher. The average skill is so much higher in the regular mode. And so that's the balance so that's really the balance that the game has to find, of like, how do you get enough people that are willing to get smoked because even though they run the meta, they do the thing, they are not good enough to go toe to toe with somebody else. How do you get them to keep playing? Because you've walked, you and I have both kind of gone around this, is like when those players go away, the game starts to suck because you are just always in the blender. And even if you come out even, it's not the fun experience of like, some days some games you steamroll, and other games you're just fighting to get that kill so you break even.
Yeah. So from a kill standpoint, and over in Black Ops Royale, I'm rarely having a bad match. And actually some of my worst matches are only 2 kills and 2 deaths. Like, you know what I mean? Aside from that, I'm usually 4 or more kills lately. per match, per solo match. And, I'm not running into that as often over there also because there's guns that are better than others, but you don't have every single person running around with the same fucking gun that has no recoil and can beam you from 600 meters away. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like
true.
Red Sec in a way. And that's why, like, I know we'll never get a blackout experience back. Like, that's never happening. But that mode is very good. And what's also sad too is I came to the realization that we are stuck with Warzone probably as it is with the whole loadout thing. And that Black Ops Royale thing it's going away. There's no way they're going to keep it. Not next year. Not when they roll out the new one. I'd be very surprised if
definitely not with an IW Modern Warfare game.
No.
Blackout Royale brought to you by Modern Warfare would just not.
Well, they could repackage the name
problem. But I think their DMZ's coming out again. DMZ 2. It's interesting. I was reading somebody. It wasn't Iceman. I forget who it was saying it, but somebody was saying it. Maybe who was it who was saying it? Westy, maybe. I don't know. Somebody was saying it, and it struck me as absolutely true. One of the problems that you have with long term with these extraction shooters is the fuck do you do with all the crap you collect at the end of the day, right? And I think Arc Raider suffers from this a little bit, is that unless you're willing to really learn the world you're in, understanding what's good and what's bad is challenging. It's a whole ecosystem you have to learn. And DMZ1 had this problem, had a similar, like a parallel problem of that. It didn't matter what you had because it was all trash. Like none of it was worth anything. You just got XP from it. You get out, you get XP, right? There's like the one weapon case, and I don't know. They eventually put a few things in there that made it interesting. But for the most
where you
part,
could extract with that M13. Remember that?
Yep.
That's how you got that, you could drop it for your buddy in game and let them extract with it too.
Yeah. I mean, I did that a bunch of times with my buds. It was like, it really killed the enjoyment of trying to do it because that's what everybody did, or everybody sat around and just poached you on the weapons case, even when they didn't need it. That was the part that I think was so frustrating, because they were just really out there to ruin your day. But the extraction shooter genre has this problem of like you have to try and translate all the collectibles into worthwhile, meaningful stuff that a player would want to hunt down and get out. And a lot of that comes from, well, you have to then memorize blueprints, and you have to learn, you have to learn what stuff compiles into, or what you can decompile it into, so that you know what to grab. And I mean, Arc Raiders did a pretty good job. It didn't take more than about 10 or 15 hours to kind of get a handle on what you need, what was good and what sucked. But it eventually has the problem of like, you're just collecting trash, right? And none of it has any real meaning or value to you. And the weapons are in the same boat, right? Like, what am I getting? Like, what is this thing that I've picked up? What does it do? You have to know it, or you have to study it. If you pick it up on the fly, it's hard to know what you're dealing with. Call of Duty doesn't have this problem. Everybody knows what Call of Duty assets are, right? Like plates, armor, like guns, like you know what the guns are, right? There's no surprises in the guns. You know what attachments would be. It's all real world stuff. So it all correlates to the world around you. And I think that was one of the areas that Call of Duty had an advantage of in DMZ1, and I think they'll have it I think it'll carry through in DMZ2, is that there's not a lot of confusion about what all this stuff is, right? Like cash is cash. Like if you're picking up cash, if there's cash on the ground, you know what it is. right? You don't have to sit there and look at it and be like, does this turn into cash? Does this turn into things? Like, because arc raiders, a lot of times it's like, I pick something up. Is this a thing that I can build with, or is this a thing I can sell for cash? Right. And they did a pretty good job of telling you how much it was worth, but you still have to go through the rigmarole of like, what is this? Where's the value in this? Is it in money? Is it in buildability? Can I combine it with something and make a weapon? And with Call of Duty at a fundamental level, we already understand everything, right? If it's cash, it's cash. If it's gold, right? It's probably still cash. If it's, an optic, it's an optic, right? Like there's, like in Arc Raiders, you'll pick up something that it's like, oh, maybe this goes on a gun, but it's like, no, you have to take that and combine it with something else, and then take it to your workbench and craft something with it, and then put it on your gun. And I think there's an approachability that isn't quite there because it takes so much investment that they really squandered in DMZ1. And I think DMZ2 stands to do really well.
Well, and they stopped fucking supporting DMZ1 too midway, not even halfway through the cycle.
They didn't support it on day one.
Yeah.
You remember they launched and they were beta. Like, they called it a beta, and they were like, we're going to let people play it and see what they come up with. And what they came up with was 6-man hunter killer team, pre-made 6-man teams, and nothing. Free.
But see, here's the thing though. If you're making a mode like that in a game that's been traditionally PvP, and you make a mode like that, you have to expect a certain amount of players that are gonna go into that mode only for PvP. So you're gonna have those people. You're gonna have the people who want to be in there just for the PvE because they don't want to sweat, blah blah blah. But then you're going to also have the people who, like you've said on this podcast many times, that play the game 7-8 hours a day. They finish everything, and then what do they have left to go do? Grief other players.
Yep, grief players.
Yeah. So that's what's going to happen, dude. You have to understand that. And I'm glad Arc Raiders did well. It doesn't, based on what I've seen, it doesn't look like a game I would be interested in. And it's so funny. Somebody posted the other day, and I used to be kind of guilty of this too, I guess. But like they posted like the stream viewer numbers on it, and I'm like, can we stop like posting stuff like this and letting this be the end all be all metric for whether a game is actually doing well or not? Whether the big streamers are playing it, because we all have seen most of the big streamers are not playing it because they've already finished everything.
Yeah, it's like it's like an extended single player game in a lot of ways. And I think Hogwarts was like this. Star Wars, the one that came out right in the summer of MW2.
Was it Outlaws?
No, that was a catastrophe. Before
was
that,
it the Jedi?
It was one of the Fallen Jedi. One of the Fallen Jedis.
Fallen Order or some shit.
Fallen Order, yeah, I think that's what it was. Whatever, it's the sequel.
Yeah.
Like that, it's like, and everybody will jump on and play that, and they'll play it and play it and play it, and then it's like they're done, right? Like they've done the side quest, they've done as much as they want to do. They're not interested. And I think there are games that they are fun to play and boring to watch. I put Battlefield under the category of I would never, ever tune into a Battlefield stream. I have no interest in Battlefield streaming. I think it's boring as shit to watch. Most of the time, it's people running from spawn to find a gunfight to get into. That is the classic Battlefield experience.
Red Sec's a little different.
But it's slower. And I understand people wanting to spend their time watching someone, move through a building as a group, making sure that you stay together so you can overwhelm whoever you run across, and then get steamrolled by a tank when they walk out. Like nobody finds that fun to watch.
Yeah, and it's so funny because and before I say this, just hear me out. I'm not saying this as a fucking pity party, pity parade, whatever, because no matter what, when I'm playing, I'm probably still going to go live anyway. But I noticed that since I started playing Battlefield, my almost consistently double digit numbers most nights have gone down to some nights I will have one, maybe two people in that won't say a fucking word at all. And so now and I do this because I like to stream. I like the interaction, right? I'm not making money off it. So I don't, I'm not planning on trying to get big or be a partner, none of that nonsense. If you are great, that's cool, but that's just not for me, right?
Well, I mean,
But if
also, let's be clear, you're not view botting enough to get there.
No, I hear that's a fucking epidemic too. But if I will say this though, if I stream for 2 hours and my chat is completely blank, minus the graphic designer that comes in every day and tries to sell me some shit, I'm fucking out. I'll just turn it off and go drink beer and listen to country music on the weekends.
Yeah.
Because that's been about what I've been doing anyway. Like, I played longer though, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Dude, I looked up and I'm like, shit, I've been on almost 3 hours. It just goes so fast when you have somebody to play with and talk to, and it's awesome. My chat was popping. It was nice, dude. It felt kind of like the old days.
Yeah. No. And I think Call of Duty has typically just been a more exciting game to watch because it is typically more fast paced, right? Even the older CODs are more fast paced, right? The maps are generally smaller. You don't spend as much time looking for the fight, and that I think is one of those keys that really makes Call of Duty unique in the shooter space, is that engagements are usually very abrupt. They're usually very efficient, especially multiplayer versus competing titles like Apex, right? Like, it's all about movement and abilities and all of that. It's very drawn. It's a very different kind of game. And you look at like other, comparing Warzone, right? Even Warzone's much faster paced in a lot of ways. So I think Call of Duty in general just has it's got the aura of what a first person shooter game should be when it appeals to everybody. And as we've said many times, I think it runs into problems, right? Where you have the two extremes on either side, where it's like I don't want to say there are people playing the game that are too good to play the game, but there's people playing the game that should probably be playing something a little more skillful on their daily playing, right? But again, it's got viewers, it's fun to play. So, and then there's people that like really belong in campaign rather than multiplayer.
And the other thing too, I'll say is, if I had to look at my at viewership, like for my specific channel, I think it's been lower minus the first couple weeks of Black Ops 7, just in general for Black Ops 7 than it has been for any other COD title. That includes Vanguard. Like, it's like my community, for whatever reason, they just don't. A lot of my friends stopped playing this game. Like, they'll play Warzone. A couple of them, started going to play ranked and stuff like that. But like, I think a lot of people that I know just don't like the game anymore. And I'm optimistic that Modern Warfare 4 will bring back some of those other players and some of the people to watch, those kind of things, because I heard some good things. And the one thing that I heard that I was the most excited about is when Griggs was like, this needs to be about more than just our egos, or it shouldn't be about our egos, which is a direct response to if you don't like Modern Warfare 2, go fuck yourself. We don't care, that we got in 2022 with Modern Warfare 2.
Yeah. And the quotes that I've heard from that interviewer have been great in terms of like feeling like they're willing to understand. And let's be clear, this is one of the first games developed probably solely under Microsoft, versus it was before, they did the early work before. I mean, BO7, because I'm pretty sure BO7 was planned out before.
Yeah.
Right. That was planned way back going, before the merger was done. And, like here's the thing, right? When it comes to a merger, right? Everybody looks at the date, when it closed and like, oh, it closed on this day. Therefore, everything after that is Microsoft, right? But Microsoft left Activision intact for a very long time. And
they didn't even start firing people for like almost a year.
Yeah. And, they've cleaned house and they've replaced people. And even Microsoft has replaced Xbox people. They have overhauled the leadership at Xbox. And what's her name that got put in charge of it? I can't lie. I kind of like the job she's doing.
Dude, she dropped the Game Pass.
Well. Yeah, drop the price of Game Pass, drop COD from it, which, unfortunate for my wallet. However,
I will buy through fucking BattleNet now. I will never buy another game through Xbox app or through the fucking EA app ever again.
Yeah. Yeah, probably same for me. But I mean, the whole experience is different now. And so this is Infinity's first time around under new leadership. The franchise, the Modern Warfare franchise has new leaders at the top. Their leadership at Activision, I don't think is obviously I'm not privy to their reporting chain, chains of reporting, but I really don't know if their leadership, because you got to remember when Microsoft first took it over, Activision operated as an independent business unit for the most part, right? They just kept being Activision. There weren't any major changes, not just to the structure and the personnel, but to the reporting structure, right? It's just, the top brass in Activision, they had someone above them to talk to, right? And I think what's changed is not only is Microsoft's leadership more involved, but the studio, like the Activision layer is thinner. So you're just not going to have a lot of that, Activision wants to do what Activision wants to do for profit, like for their profit, because they're just one line item. They're part of a business unit's line item now, and they're not the marquee piece. And I think that brings a change from a business standpoint. It brings a big change. But yeah, it's interesting. I think MW4 has my attention. I'm willing to hear more. Everything that I've said seems like a significant improvement over Blackout, that we've had. Black Ops. Sorry. The campaign looks great. I'm excited for the campaign.
Oh yeah, for sure. I do too. I'm looking forward to it. It's too bad that we won't get it a week early like we did before. Like that would be awesome to have that and be able to play it. But are
we? Did they say something specific?
Why would they? You saw how bad
if it's good.
Well, if it's good.
MW2's campaign was very good. As much as people didn't like the multiplayer aspects of it, the campaign, people loved the campaign.
Well, that is true, and that's one thing I have always said is, Infinity Ward does. I think out of the studios, they do the best on the campaign. Like their campaigns are better. I just like how also, did you see everything is going grounded, and they have doubled and tripled down that there will be no BS after launch. And I think they've realized that while it was never a sticking point for me, not a deal breaker, I still never liked the fucking, the Teletubbies. Yeah, Teletubbies and shit like that. Like, I feel like that didn't have a place in Call of Duty, nor should it have ever been introduced. But like, yeah, they're staying grounded. They commented probably 3 times on that over the last few days. And so, I mean, we'll see. Listen,
we'll see.
They put that shit out into the ether. It's up to them to stick to their word. I'm optimistic that they will, but sadly, if they don't, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. We'll see. That's one of those things of like, it define grounded as well, right? Like they maintain that their operators for BO7 fit the scheme of it. And I just remember looking at some of the operators that they put out, and they're like, it's Black Ops. And I'm like, it looks like fucking cartoon bullshit. So I don't really care. But what was it? It was the launch. Remember the pre-order character that was like some blue neon glowy thing?
It was all zombie and shit, right?
Yeah, they've been so in zombies the last like 2 years. And it's like, can we just be done?
I gotta be honest, I don't have a huge problem with Treyarch, but I feel like I kind of have some Treyarch fatigue. Like, you know what I mean? After 2 years in a row of it, I'm ready. I'm ready for IW and then hopefully Sledgehammer after that.
Yeah, we'll see. So it's going to be interesting. I'm curious to see how it goes. I'm excited to see what they come up with. We'll learn more. October 23rd is the launch day.
Yep.
I can't wait. I can't wait to see more. I know there's stuff they're going to announce about Warzone. I know they're going to bring out more multiplayer stuff. They've said that already.
More SBMM talk too. He said they would be transparent.
So let's see what they come up with. But for that, it's getting late on my end. I'm going to get in trouble with the wife. So I'm going to let you all go. Appreciate it. We should have this episode up this week along with some catch up, and we're back, baby.
We are back. But should have an episode next week. It's the following week that I won't be able to because I fly out of town to Denver. But if you want to do another episode next week, we can do that. I mean, we can work it out.
Yeah, let's do it next week.
But we'll start trying to get more regular episodes up, and we're both, I think, playing a little more than we have been. So anyway,
yeah. Playing different stuff. So, all right, we'll be back next week. Thanks for dropping by, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Later.
This has been Sub 1 Kitty, along with J007 TV and the Slightly Above Average Gaming Podcast. We're logging off now, so we'll see you next time.